Hey, comic fans!
Welcome to Just Comics.
Welcome. I'm Seth.
And I'm Steve. Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 6, 1963.
First appearance of the Sinister Six.
For those of you that are new to Just Comics, whether you're watching this video in the future or brand new when it comes out, we're a review channel. So we're going to be taking a look at books. We're going to kind of go through our thoughts on the books. We'll rate the books on story and art between a scale of 1 to 5, and whether or not we feel that the book is a recommend.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Seth.
Say book one more time.
Book.
Damn you.
So basically in this book, we find out that Doc Ock can, magically move his arms without them being attached.
But hey, at least now he has a date for those Friday nights. He and his arms can feed each other wine and cheese. How romantic.
We find out that Aunt May thinks that she's at a tea party when she's kidnapped. So
Aunt May was at a tea party where she was served tea and cakes by a lovely young man whom she later fell in love with. We also find out that Spider-Man's powers are psychosomatic. He can wish them away.
No, it's just a mental block.
If he can mental block his powers away, can't he mental block his powers stronger?
No, it doesn't work like that. So crazy cameos all through this. I get it. Marvel wants the world to feel lived in. However, some of these cameos don't make any sense. I know Thor almost does a hit and run here on Spider-Man. Wasn't he Donald Blake back then?
What is this?
Oh.
You mean a blind lawyer?
That was Matt Murdock.
No. Donald Blake was also blind. He had a cane.
You think just because...
He tapped it twice and he became Thor.
As Dr. Don Blake reaches the only possible decision.
I must return to Asgard and explain to Odin. So be it.
Okay, if you know in the comments, because I haven't read any Thor, and I don't think Seth has either, about Donald Blake, and also what ended up happening to Donald Blake, please let us know.
So eventually we are shown all the villains together, and somehow Doc Ock has called them, because apparently that's a thing.
They had phones in 1963.
Yeah, but they didn't have Skype, Facebook, FaceTime, IM, email, cell phones.
Carrier pigeons.
Yes, I can see now. A homing pigeon flies over New York, Manhattan, and flies into a sand pit where the Sandman is. And he reads the note that says, "Come to the secret hideout in the sewers."
It could happen.
Okay. Now, while Spider-Man is also getting down on himself, or Peter Parker, he tells Aunt May about his woes with his girlfriend, Betty Brant. And Aunt May takes it upon herself to go have a talking to that young woman.
Oh. Look, they did one thing here really smart, though. I have to give it to the villains. They sent Vulture to J. Jonah Jameson so they could get word out to Spider-Man about the challenge.
Yes, that's the other thing. They are kidnapping Betty Brant and posting a challenge to Spider-Man. Come and find us so we can kill you, or your girlfriend dies. It's not so much that they're kidnapping Spider-Man's girlfriend, it's that they're kidnapping the receptionist for the Daily Bugle, who just happens to be Spider-Man's girlfriend. Well, Peter Parker's.
And that's how Aunt May gets kidnapped, because she went to go talk to Betty Brant, like we mentioned earlier. And by the way, you said there was no Skype. What do you call Reed Richards doing here to Captain America?
That's a face. It's called FaceTime. So the first villain up that Spider-Man fights is Electro.
Now, this is accompanied with one of the cameos, but this cameo makes sense. Stark owns the power plant that Electro's fighting him in.
Electro fights Spider-Man at a power plant? No way! How surprising.
The second villain, though, is Kraven the Hunter.
Oh, wow, Kraven the Hunter. Now, Kraven, of course, is too craven to fight by himself. See what I did there?
But Kraven also is the one villain, Spider-Man, does not even catch.
No, Spider-Man has to reach into Kraven's pants to pull out his
Note! His note, Seth.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. His note that has the location of the next villain.
And then he's such a dick to Johnny Storm.
Yes, he tells Johnny Storm to get lost. He's not signing any autographs today. He tells that to Johnny Storm.
And now we come to the part where Aunt May thinks she's having a tea party.
Betty Brant, of course, is rightfully freaking out. Aunt May, on the other hand, is having a lovely time with her new friend, Mr. Doc Octavius. Oh, what a lovely time. There's tea, there's scones. Oh.
Question.
Yes.
When did Aunt May become British?
She's an old lady. All old ladies are British.
And if anybody over across the pond is watching this video, I would like to apologize.
Damn it, America!
So next up, we have the man, the myth, the legend, the absolute glass cannon in fantasy terms, Mysterio. Mysterio is very much a mage and very much not a combatant. He fights by smoke and mirrors only, and his biggest feature is the fishbowl he wears on his head.
Unlike the fishbowl that Dr. Octopus fights Spider-Man with.
Yes, Dr. Octopus fights Spider-Man in a fishbowl.
But we're not there yet.
We are not there yet. Now, the way that Mysterio fights Spider-Man first is with robotic X-Men, which Spider-Man just destroys because, he's Spider-Man.
Somehow, his webbing can now put out a fire, and you can read the imprint from what was written on a card.
No, he's not just reading the imprint. He is using his spider sense to detect the imprint and subsume it.
And yet that still doesn't make any sense. So Sandman actually has the smartest trap here because, and can I just point out just how ironic it is that Sandman is the one that has the smartest trap?
What, you mean, hey, Sandman here?
Wow. I mean, I'm not saying his trap makes sense, but the idea of containing Spider-Man inside a small area to where it's hard for him to maneuver around Sandman's attacks is genius.
Yes, except for the weird fact that apparently Sand needs to breathe. If Sand didn't need to breathe, he probably could have killed Spider-Man. But Sand needed to breathe because it had lungs. So, the next villain, of course, is the intrepid, the amazing, the awesome Vulture.
You're a wrestling promoter now.
I mean, Spider-Man was a wrestler for a little bit, sure.
The sum of $3,000 will be paid to the terrifying, the deadly, the amazing Spider-Man!
Vulture forces Spider-Man to take off his web shooters because that's the only way Spider-Man has ever been able to defeat him. And then, Vulture, in his brilliance, attaches a string to Spider-Man to drag him into the sky.
Yep. Take off your web shooters. Now here's a web.
Essentially. And he turns it into a lasso, lassos Vulture, and smashes him right into the side of the building.
And finally, the last of the six, Dr. Octopus, he decides to jump into a giant fishbowl so he could fight Spider-Man like a real octopus for some reason. And Spider-Man just spins a bunch of webs in the water to tangle up his arms.
Yes.
But he's able to miss it because he can squeeze himself really close to the edge of the bowl.
Now, the only reason he can do that is because for all his brilliance, Doc Ock did not make the inside of the bowl stick-proof, which he could have done with just, some Pam. It makes things not stick.
Yeah, I don't think they had cooking spray in
Then
1963.
use butter.
No.
The butter makes everything butter.
So at the end of this book, Aunt May's really upset. Not because she got kidnapped, not because her tea party got interrupted, but because she missed the Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh, Aunt May.
And now we come to the part of the video where we're going to rate both the art and the story. Seth, why don't you go first?
I found this kind of a drag to read through. I mean, I have ADHD, one. So, you know, I'm trying as hard as I can to get through this book. But the long explanations of each panel just bored me to death. I have to give the story-wise, like, 3 stars. I'm being generous there because it's still interesting at the very least. For the art, I'll have to go 3.5 stars. But it's very colorful and it's very much a product of its time. Overall, unless you're a hardcore Spider-Man fan, I give it a pass. If there's a much more recent thing with Sinister Six, read that instead. It's gotta be way more interesting.
So I'm going to rate this story as 3 stars. I'm being a little kind because I have a soft spot for Stan Lee. The guy was a huge part of my childhood. There was some nostalgia there. So I absolutely have to bump it up a little extra half star and give it 3. And then on the art, I absolutely love Steve Ditko. And I'm going to give him 4 stars. And as far as the book itself, though, I am going to say it is not a must-read. Of course, hardcore Spider-Man fans, if you're curious, you're probably going to want to pick it up, take a look at it. I know I was. I'm a hardcore Spider-Man fan. But honestly, it's not necessary. I found it to be just kind of a drag to read through a little bit. And I know I'm sounding a little harsh right now, and people are probably going to tear me up in the comments. I could already hear it. Keyboards just... All right, so tell us what you guys thought about the book in the comments below. Have you read this? Were you interested in reading this? If you were interested, did we change your mind? I hope not, because that's not the point of the video.
Did we make you more interested? Because if we did, I'm so surprised.
Do you want to prove us wrong at how great this story actually was? Let us know. All right, guys, that's it for the first Just Comics video. We are going to be on our way out, but before we go, we have to tell you to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so future videos as they come up, you get notified right away. I know this is something that all YouTubers say, but the reason is the more engagement a video has, the more YouTube will share it and it gets out to more people. So it really does help the channel out a lot. Have a good one, guys.
See ya.
So many outtakes.
You can do it. I believe in you.
That makes one of us. Rubber baby Bucky Boy.
Yellow leather, black leather. What's it? Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather. It's not so much the kidnapping Spider-Man and his girlfriend; they're just kidnapping the receptionist for the Daily Planet.
Bugle.
Fuck.